All right, so we're back with this is our third episode of Teacher Nerds.
Episode 3, don't show a movie.
Yeah, don't show a movie at the end of the year. I mean, it's kind of like an easy cop out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
To
most
show
definitely.
a movie.
Put in a movie, relax, and not for anything. The kids, they say they want to do that, but all day watching movies.
Right.
Come on. I mean,
And they watch. Look, they watch enough stuff at home or sitting at home. You know, whether it's on games. And don't get me wrong, I get it that
Most
there's
definitely.
paperwork to do and all that kind of stuff to do, but we're gonna throw out some different activities that can be done instead of showing a movie.
I agree.
But first, let's get to 2 yes more, 1 no way, and we're going to be talking about food.
All right.
All right. So, Joe, what are your 2 yes more and 1 no way for food?
All right. Well, it's kind of pretty easy for me. I grew up in an Italian family, and cooking was something that just, it was natural. It was part of the daily life. So, for my 2 yeses, I would definitely have to say, and I might get a lot of slack here from some of you paisans, but I like a sauce.
All right.
So, it's a red sauce. I don't like gravy. Gravy's all thick and chunky, more of a marinara.
Okay.
I like a sauce. I like a red runny sauce, and I like that sauce not dumped on my pasta. I like to take the pasta, cook it a little bit, almost al dente, throw it into a saute pan, throw the sauce into the saute pan, and then those noodles. Oh, I shouldn't call them noodles. That pasta actually sucks it in,
right.
and this way you're looking almost at like a red piece of pasta at the end, but it's got the flavor of the sauce.
Nice.
So that's my 1 yes. My second yes would be pico de gallo.
Okay.
I make a banging pico, and it might take me about 45-50 minutes just to chop everything up and put it together, and it might only last about 20 minutes once it hits the table, but phenomenal. So my 1 no. This is going to be a tough one because I'm a picky eater, but I'll eat anything.
All right.
So some of the things I'm not into, I guess it would have to be when I go to the sushi restaurants, I'm not into eel.
Oh, really?
I don't like the eel.
You mean raw eel or even the barbecued eel?
Anything.
Wow.
Or the eel sauce when they put it on certain things. I don't know. Maybe it's so salty. And sometimes, it's a mental block. But I can't do anything eel when I go to the sushi restaurants.
All right. So I would say my 2 yes mores would be a good burger.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Could be all different varieties of burger, but a good burger, and then sushi. I could do
anything though. Anything in the sushi restaurant.
I'm not a huge salmon fan, but I'll eat it.
Okay.
I mean, I love tuna.
Mm-hmm.
Raw tuna.
Right.
Love eel.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, love the eel.
Okay.
And my 1 no way. It's kind of 2, but broccoli or cauliflower.
Oh my God.
My wife tried to get me to do cauliflower rice the other night.
Which is good.
No, it's just cauliflower. She tried to pull that on me with, it's like rice. No.
Did she make it? Did Susan make it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No. Nope.
Broccoli's my go-to vegetable. Nope. It's so easy to cook.
Yeah.
And you put a little butter on it and some salt and pepper. Man, I know if we're talking healthy.
I've tried it all. Cheese on the broccoli. Like there's nothing covering that flavor for me.
Huh. Interesting.
All right. So that's been 2 yes more, 1 no way. Our food. All right. Let's jump into our topics.
Let's do it.
So, I think for both of us, instead of showing a movie, do some making.
Oh, most definitely. And Ron, I think this is going to be my 3rd year attempting not showing a movie.
Right.
Now, my one disclaimer, yesterday, we did watch part of Winn-Dixie because we read the book.
Well, and that's different. Right?
We read the book earlier. We just finished the book actually last week, and we started watching the movie and then started to compare how they're alike and different. So the making, though, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it takes the whole day.
Right.
So we understand,
and it's going to get messy.
And definitely going to get messy. The custodians might ask you at the end of the day, what happened in here?
You may want to buy your custodian a coffee from Wawa or something like that.
But if that's the worst thing that happens, they make a mess.
Hey,
that's
it. Like the song says, worst thing that happens, kids get paint on their shoes, right?
And teaching is messy.
Right.
Teaching is a messy experience.
Yep.
What were some of the things you've done? Because I know I've seen them on Twitter.
Right.
I see you standing on things sometimes.
Right.
And what's that about?
So I mean, I think like cardboard is probably one of the most versatile tools you can use in your classroom. And if you have young kids, third, fourth grade, fifth grade, even, cereal boxes.
Yep.
They're easy to cut with scissors.
Most definitely.
You can build a lot of stuff out of them: paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, egg cartons, all good things. And then if you're into the middle school and they can use an X-Acto knife or like a box cutter, Amazon boxes. Everybody's got some kind of box that's been delivered to their house from online, and using some duct tape. I've done, challenges of build a cardboard platform in my 8th grade. My 8th grade class does a whole lot of cardboard construction. And they have to build a cardboard platform that's 1 foot by 1 foot square, 6 to 8 inches high, and it needs to be able to hold a team member. They get bonus points if it holds me, and I'm running 250 pounds.
And they do this, they can use glue or they can do it without glue, right?
They can do hot glue, or if they want more of a challenge and I give a bonus for it, they can do it without hot glue.
Now, do you have the picture for them or some type of something that they can look at there's something out there that has ways you can attach cardboard?
So one of the things is with that, they have to do some research and do some research on cardboard construction, and different techniques. And one of the things I do before they get into that project is I have them do a Flipgrid video on one cardboard construction technique.
Oh, nice.
That they liked and they think would be useful. They don't know the project at that time, but they're just looking at different types of techniques to connect cardboard.
Cool. Well, maybe because I do have that picture, maybe we can throw that in our notes for the listeners.
Yeah, we can
just
do that.
The different ways, because it's pretty cool. And then I know you've seen or you've shown me the cutter from Make Do.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact that they actually have the screws too.
Yep. Yeah. So Make Do, you can look them up, and again, we'll put some links in the show notes. But if you're worried about kids using like X-Acto knives or something like that, Make Do has a cutter. You can purchase it for them, but also they threw the files for it onto Thingiverse, so it's there for free that you can print out the cutter. You can print out some screws. Now, I guess I should say, I don't know if they threw them out or somebody threw them out and designed something.
But they're available.
And if you have access to a 3D printer, that's a great way to go. And I know you've done some cardboard construction projects.
We have fun with cardboard. I saw this year during Valentine's Day, teachers are bringing in supplies, bringing in bags for the kids, and it's funny, I think all about making, but I didn't plan on making anything for Valentine's Day and specifically to hold the cards. I start seeing all this and I think, you know what? Like you were saying, cardboard and the cereal boxes, they're all over the place. There's a plethora of them, and we've been collecting them all year. So that's one of the things we started to do was, look, we need something to hold. And it was great because I figured people would just take boxes that are flat and just re-erect them into a rectangular shape. And they didn't. And that's what's so great about the making with kids, is because I know originally I'm thinking, well, what are they going to make? And we've talked about this before when, why bring this into the classroom? And I think it was you were like, who knows? Like it's they can do whatever they want with it. And that's why there should be different things there.
Yeah. And sometimes their ideas are so far beyond anything you could even think of. That's that young mind, right? No constraints kind of thing.
Well, they'll I guess they're impulsive, I guess, and they don't really care what someone's going to say. Exactly. And it's, oh, well, what about this? And what about this? We have done some cardboard challenges before, or not even just challenges, just using cardboard to help make your life better.
Right.
We had a student that wanted to make his mom something. For her birthday, which had passed weeks ago. But you know what?
Better late than never.
And we had this time, and he wanted to do something productive. And I said, well, you have to make something for your mom that's going to make her life better.
Right.
And he thought about it, and he starts talking about her in the kitchen and this, that, and the other thing. And she really could use something to organize her kitchen.
Nice.
So he started to make something with drawers, and by the end it ended up looking like a dragon. So he kind of turned it into a dragon themed drawer holder.
Cool.
And that actually went home the other day, all out of cardboard and masking tape.
Nice.
But as far as cardboard goes, there's a plethora of it.
Yeah.
So that makes it also easier to want to get in and do, because it's stuff you can grab for
Right.
free.
And you can, put a note in the kids' agenda book. We need cardboard boxes, cereal boxes. You'll have more cereal boxes than you can imagine. And, not for nothing, you could probably also put in there, we could use a roll of duct tape.
Most definitely.
And you're going to get a few rolls of duct tape in.
Parents are very willing.
Yep.
And a little bit of duct tape does go a long way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Duct
tape can be a little messy, right? Like,
the first year we were working with duct tape, we got a whole bunch of strands of duct tape out, and they were hanging on things, and
they're sticking to each other.
Little third grade kids are hilarious because everyone wants to grab it, and anyone that's used duct tape knows if you have duct tape out and open, there's a good chance if those two sides come together.
Yep, that's it. It's done.
So one team in specifically was a hot mess with the duct tape. But you know what? If we never did that, we would have never realized maybe duct tape for younger kids isn't the greatest.
Right, maybe masking tape is better.
And that's what we found. Yep. Masking tape works a lot better. And
I would even think maybe some of the blue painter's tape that is removable, a little bit easy to remove. That may be even helpful.
Most definitely. Other than cardboard, though, we've used Play-Doh in class.
Awesome.
Play-Doh to make things. And it's fun because as a beginning of the year activity or an end of the year activity, you can ask the kids to make something out of Play-Doh that would represent themselves.
Okay.
And then get up to the class and explain, this is what I made, this is why I made it, and talk a little bit about that activity. So I know one of our standards that everyone has to hit is public speaking.
Right.
So what better way to stand up and have kids getting comfortable talking in public than talking about something that they themselves love to do.
Right. Well, and they're then the expert because nobody knows them better than they do.
Most definitely.
And I know sometimes teachers get a little, don't want to make physical things because, storing them, again, having the mess. So, I kind of jotted down some notes on some things that you could do making, but without the physical making.
Yeah.
And, if Tinkercad is great. It's 3D design. There are a lot of YouTube videos on it. And really, honestly, just letting kids go and explore. And what I like, one of the things, especially for the younger grades, is Tinkercad has a Lego mode and a Minecraft mode. So those students who are into Minecraft, they can go build and then go into Minecraft mode and see what it would look like in the Minecraft environment.
That's great.
Now, if your students can log in with their Google account, it's much easier. Otherwise, you do have to set up an account as a teacher and invite students in using your email address instead of the parents.
And maybe that's something we should say. Having your students or having a school that's partnered with Google for Education, it makes passwords and logging into all these different sites that the kids should go to and can really benefit from. It makes it so much easier to just log in with Google. So little public service announcement out there. Google for Education.
Absolutely.
Way to go.
And WeVideo, you can use it for free. I believe it's 2 5-minute downloads a month you can do.
And the size of the videos too, you're restricted on.
Right. And you're restricted from some of their premium features, green screen.
The sounds that they have, and WeVideo is great. And teaching third grade, we have third graders using WeVideo.
That's awesome,
and learning how to do it and becoming WeVideo experts and then helping the other students create their videos.
And that's it. It's still making, it's not the physical making, you're still creating something. And what kid out there doesn't want to be like a YouTuber? So, they're right in there doing that.
Now, when I started talking about the Play-Doh, we can cut that out, right? Because I didn't realize I shouldn't have put it up there. I should have started talking about it down here. We can cut that out, right? Okay. Yeah, and then all this little banter.
Yeah.
Cool.
One of the other things we, have is I love, it's probably one of my favorite tools in Google is Google Slides. It is like the Swiss Army knife of tools. Students can do stop motion animation with Google Slides. I've done that in class. Using the Control K feature, which links slides to other slides, or links, it could be words, pictures, could be shapes that they can use in Google Slides. all of those can be linked to other slides or to outside websites. So you can set up students to do a virtual tour of an area, a virtual museum, a virtual zoo, or you could even have them create their own ebook with little Easter eggs so that when you click on a certain word, it takes you to a video or a website or links to a picture that's on another slide. And I'm going to be doing some screencasts to show how to do that. But even if you're out there, play around with it.
Well, and I know
that's
one of the
cool.
things I learned from you and we did in class was the card
Right.
in Google Slides, and working with our social studies weekly and learning about people from the past.
Right. So you did like a baseball card.
A baseball card for George Washington.
That's cool.
Baseball card for Thomas Jefferson, and it's just it's something to get them start playing around and being comfortable with using that type of technology. And what's great about Google is what works in Google's platform, like you're talking about Control K, Control V, those types of things. They're similar across different platforms.
Right, exactly.
So if you're comfortable using this type of technology, as you start to grow and become a learner, you're going to be comfortable learning or using more types of technology.
Right, you're going to be, if you're comfortable with doing something in Google, you're going to be comfortable doing something on the Microsoft platform.
Yes.
They're very similar.
And besides Google Slides, I love Google Sites.
Right.
We have so many students that are we do the Genius Hour, we call it Spark.
Right.
And they're researching, whatever they're into. We have a little boy that's interested in previous wars. He's studying about the Vietnam War. And going to make a website on
awesome.
Just what he's learned.
Right.
We have students that are really into video games.
Right.
So I had a student yesterday just publish his website all about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hey, all right.
And I know,
nice.
bringing in those old school games, and that's really cool because he likes the older games, and as an older person who's not necessarily into video games now. But when I was a kid, those were the video games I was playing. So
Donkey Kong.
And he talks about the NES apparently that's out there now that has all those old games with Frogger on it and Donkey Kong. So just getting something that they're into, and it's a talking point, and how do you best reach your students? You know who they are,
right? And that's it. The Genius Hour, or really, honestly, any kind of making, you're going to see who they are.
Most definitely, because their personality really comes out.
Right. I mean, there you could even, somebody who's interested in that you could let them play around with Scratch from MIT.
Yes.
Create their own video game. Give something like that a shot. I know you have some ideas for projects, and I want to throw some ideas for projects out there because it's fine for us to say, hey, do some making. But we don't want to leave people hanging with.
Right. Where do you start if you've never done this before?
So one website I've found useful is Instructables. And again, we'll link that up. But that has a pretty cool, there's a list of different projects you can do. And you can kind of search things out there. I also have, especially it got me thinking the other day, we're doing this a few days after the Notre Dame Cathedral burnt down, right?
Yes.
And so I thought about, have them make a landmark, research from a country or a landmark in a different country, and have them either make it in the physical, like use cardboard, duct tape, masking tape, paper towel rolls, make that landmark, or have them build it in Tinkercad. Or use WeVideo and have them make a tour of that landmark or tell about that landmark, or even create a tour using Google Slides, like I said, using all those linking tools like the Control K to link with websites or videos.
Well, it's great because they're learning content, they're learning about something specific, and then they're learning skills that they can transfer over into their daily lives, and eventually who knows what they're gonna do when they grow up. So I think that's great. That they're kind of branding themselves early on as not necessarily an entrepreneur, but someone who's comfortable, solving problems or making something or giving a task and completing that task in a creative way. I think that's what people that are going to look for when you're trying to get into college, when you're trying to get into jobs, not how did you do on a multiple choice test.
Right.
Because I know every job interview I've ever been on, no one ever said, how'd you do on that science test?
Exactly. But it's can you solve a problem? Can you be creative? I give you a problem that nobody solved before and you come up with some different solution for
Right.
it.
Whether or not the solutions work, who knows? But at least there's something,
Right.
being done to try and solve a problem.
Absolutely. What are some of the project ideas that you've had?
Man, we in third grade, it's really fun because they're creative. They want to be hands on, and we've done tons of things. The first we really started with was a paper airplane experiment, and we started with most of the kids know how to make a paper airplane.
Right.
So everyone makes a paper airplane and they throw their plane.
And now you're getting to throw a paper airplane in school and not getting in trouble.
Oh,
for
it's
it, right?
hilarious because their jaws drop, and because I'm the first one to do it, I'm like, guys, check this out. They're all over the place. But we start to put in some norms. Like we just can't have paper airplanes flying all over the place.
Right.
There's a designated area. There's a designated time when you reach a certain point. You're just
that's when you're testing.
Yeah, because you are working. It's fun.
And you're prototyping, you're testing, you're redesigning,
right? That's the thing. Like
different iterations.
We throw a plane and then, okay, that's great. How far did it go? Ooh, that's awesome. Now the question is, what can you do to make that plane fly further?
Right.
So, they have to start to do a little research. And some of them, they're like, what's aerodynamics? And they're starting to get into some heavy things.
And you're picking up vocabulary.
And that's it. And most of the time, if you gave I believe a third grader a book, most of them aren't going to try and read aerodynamic. They're not going to want to read aerodynamic, but now it's like they have that purpose to. They want to figure out what they can do to make their airplane fly further. And it's a test against themselves. It's not a who can make it in the class.
Right.
What can you do to make
better yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
With doing a little research, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't.
And I know you've also had them try to carry a load, right?
Well, this year, I forget where I found it, but it wasn't necessarily how far it could go, but how much of a load it could carry.
And that's pretty awesome.
And moving forward next year, when we do it, sometimes these planes were all over the place. Like if you were on a plane that we saw,
you wanted to go in a straight line, right?
and some of these planes, they were going far and they were carrying heavy loads, but I would not want to be on those planes. So we're going to kind of try and tweak that a little bit. So paper airplanes for distance, carrying loads. There's straw rockets out there.
Yeah.
So just making a rocket, and not that I don't want to say that's a recipe, but that's not necessarily something they could be too creative about, because they're giving them a straw. It's a specific piece of paper,
right?
But it's still something that they can do and then start to play around with to tweak. How can I make it fly further?
And again, I mean, any kind of job out there, if you're building, there are constraints, right? So
most definitely.
Maybe it is, these are the constraints. You only have these materials that are going to work. And again, with that, could we tweak it to how much of a load can that straw rocket carry?
Oh, most definitely.
You know what I mean?
Right. You want to add those things in there. So there is a time constraint. There might be a budget constraint. One of the fun things was Play-Doh and working with Play-Doh. Now, another PSA, I learned this year, and I have a student who is gluten-free or needs to be gluten-free. And I start passing out Play-Doh, and he goes, I can't use that. I have celiac disease.
Right.
And I said, well, just don't eat it.
Right. I can't even touch it, man.
Well, and that's what he said. If I touch that, things are going to be a problem.
Right.
So, know your students and know Play-Doh can't be used with someone who does have celiac disease.
And I believe if you go out online, there are recipes to make your own Play-Doh that is.
Well, I haven't found a good recipe yet. The recipes that I have found and tried to put together, it's not the best.
Right. It's not Play-Doh.
But they do sell Play-Doh. Not necessarily. I don't know if it's a Play-Doh brand, but they do sell some type of modeling clay that is gluten-free.
Okay. So yeah, that is just something people need to know.
No, most definitely, because that could be a lawsuit, or not even a lawsuit,
It's just a problem,
right? That could hurt a little kid, and I don't think anyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
But they would take the Play-Doh, they would make something that represents themselves, in maybe about 10 or 15 minutes. And then they would have to stand up and explain to the class what they make and how it represents them.
That's awesome. Right. So you're hitting that public speaking.
Yep. You want to be comfortable standing in front of people, whether or not they're your friends or whatever, and just being able to talk about something.
Right. And, again, they're a little bit of a less of a fear because you're the expert on yourself.
You're talking about something you want.
Right. Exactly.
And just to kind of speed things on, I mean, I could talk about this all day, Ron.
Right.
A potato ed activity where
that was awesome.
You read about a biography. You read a biography, and then you take something you've learned from the biography and make that person into a Mr. Potato Head.
And you used the real potatoes.
We used potatoes.
No plastic Mr. Potato Head.
No. We used real potatoes, and after a while, they did start to smell. So you
Right.
might not want to keep them for over a week.
Right.
But it was great because the kids brought in things, and
Yep.
they're reading about their
Oh,
person.
they
So
were awesome.
they walk around the school, they walk around their world and say, hey, I can grab that, and that would make this potato
Right.
that much better.
That's cool.
So that was really cool. PBS has a page that has a whole bunch of building for students on there.
Okay. Yep.
Which is where I got the plans for the paper houses with newspaper.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
building the paper houses,
Yep.
building a paper bridge out of newspapers, the empathy cards that we're going to be
Yep, they're
putting
coming
out there.
soon. Yep.
So, with May the 4th coming up, and May
Right.
the 4th be with you.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys know it, but Han Solo got the Millennium Falcon repossessed. That's one of the cards. So the
Right.
students would have to make a new spaceship for Han Solo. So they
Right,
know
right.
a little bit about Han Solo.
Right.
And it just so happened that Chewbacca's satchel that he wears, well, that was on the Millennium Falcon. So now,
no.
oh yes, so now Chewie needs something else to carry everything around
All
him.
right, all right.
And we all know Chewie's, 7 feet tall, and,
Right.
and a Wookiee from, I forget what the Wookiee planet's called. But so, these kids know a little bit about these characters, and then they make things for those characters.
That's awesome.
Last year we did, in science, we were working with mass and acceleration, and there was a roller coaster project. Well, a girl I work with, her daughter is wheelchair bound.
Right.
And she started talking about, her daughter can't go on roller coasters. So then we kind of had the idea to make roller coaster carts that can hold a wheelchair.
Oh, all right.
And
all right.
Ron, I can't tell you, we were getting calls from parents, from kids that are walking by. We got hooked up with another little girl in another school.
I remember.
It brought tears to her
Yeah.
mom's eyes, and
Yeah.
this kind of stuff can really hit home in a lot of places that you don't even realize.
Right.
and
That's awesome.
and I know you were saying before, I think you were saying about designing or making a monster, right?
Right.
Or
Yep,
being
that's one of the things
an
I have,
animal.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I
Yeah.
won't talk about
Oh, no,
that.
that's fine.
But maybe during winter, who doesn't love to sled? So then design a ramp that you can sled off of.
Right.
And hey, if your district's lucky enough where you're able to go out in the snow, then build that ramp.
Right.
And hopefully no one gets hurt. So yeah, what are some of the things because I know your room is awesome, and what you have in your room, like the amount of materials you have,
Right.
is
And I mean, I'm probably the oddball out. I have access to 3D printers and Tinkercad, but I try to, kind of balance that out with what I do in here. Not everything is going to be 3D printing, and so some of the things that I've done, not even as a technology teacher, but when I taught 5th grade, was have students make a creature. They design the creature, right? They're the person who discovered this creature. They can write a little biography about this creature, or like a scientific, not a paper, but a scientific write-up about
a report.
what it eats, what it looks like, its size, its name, where it lives. If you're talking about habitats, there's a great tie into science. And then you're bringing this creature back to show off to the world. You got to design some enclosure for this creature, and then so you can do that physical making, build the enclosure or build the creature, some pipe cleaners, some paper towel rolls, cardboard. You can design a pretty good creature with that, and then present it to the class. Again, stand up, talk to everybody. Again, no worries about public speaking. It's their creature. They're the expert on it.
And I think public speaking should be brought in to every part of making.
As much as we can.
Most
Yep.
definitely. To get them comfortable standing in front of people and talking.
And put it out there.
Yep.
I made this, put it out there for people to look at it. I know kids worry about being judged sometimes, but honestly, I haven't found that much of an issue with, students judging each other on what they make. I found kids more very enthusiastic about, oh my gosh, I can't believe you made that, or that's amazing.
Right. That's where you, in the beginning of the year, you set the climate up
Absolutely.
for your classroom to say, tell us, and I always ask the kids, tell them something you liked and tell them something where you think it could be improved upon.
Right.
So, you have to be able to take that constructive criticism. Otherwise you're walking around the whole time thinking either I'm not good enough or no one likes me.
Or you're that person on American Idol who can't sing, but everybody in their life has told them that they can sing, right?
Not everyone deserves a trophy.
Absolutely. And something like that, making the creature, it hits a lot of different things: writing, collaboration, creativity, engineering, building, public speaking. There's so much out there. You could even then go to WeVideo and design or create a commercial
right
about your character.
Well, you talk about the writing and reluctant writers. Allow them to make first. I think it was Laura Fleming who has the book out there, Make Writing. And you can design maybe a setting with Legos.
Right.
Now write me a story about that
right.
Legos. Or you can design
your potato head, right?
Or the potato head, or build a character,
right.
Build a monster, and then write a personal narrative about that monster.
Right. Or about how you discovered that monster. The
monster's point of view,
right.
The townspeople's point of view. Yeah. There's so much. So for reluctant writers, making is a path people can go down.
Yeah.
Should we start to wrap it up?
Yeah, we can.
30. I don't. Well, what do you think? 30. Because I know we talked about this.
And I was just going to say, the last thing I was going to say is, one other project would be design a form of transportation, right? You have people out there who, years ago, somebody saying, hey, I'm going to build a rocket that's going to help us colonize Mars, like Elon Musk did with SpaceX. And people thought he's nuts.
Right.
Well, but SpaceX is putting rockets up and they're actually landing back. You know what I mean?
There was something on Twitter the other day. Was it John Meehan, maybe? No, it was the Daily STEM.
Okay.
Daily STEM had said, if you are not showing this to your students, you should be. And I couldn't believe that rocket landed
right back where it
was like it was always meant to be.
Yep. And there have been plenty that haven't landed very well.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
But get them to design,
which you should celebrate. You should celebrate those failures, because if it wasn't for the failures, then the successes would never come.
Yep.
Or even Elon Musk. What about flying cars?
Right.
When the students are like, "Oh, I'm going to build a flying car," and my response was, "Well, how's that going to make things better?"
Right.
You can't just play around with things, but you should just play around with things. That's when I was saying that, I'm like slapping myself in the face. We want them playing around. We want those creative. We want those dreamers dreaming big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna start to wrap up.
Nice long episode today, Ron.
Yeah.
This is a big topic.
It is, and like I said, I understand showing that movie at the end of the year, but maybe you want to show one movie, not a series of movies. Maybe you don't want to do every episode of Star Wars.
I don't know, Ron. Star Wars is a great series. But start small. Maybe start with one day of making.
Right. Yep. A day of making would be great.
And end of the year is the perfect time to try it, because curriculum's pretty much for the most part behind us.
Yep.
That last week of school, I'm pretty sure grades are in and for the most part finalized.
Yeah.
So that is the time to have fun.
And I understand going outside too, and running around, but a day of making inside.
Well, it gets really hot in the afternoon here in Jersey. So so to maybe be out in the morning, thinking about your designs out there and putting out a blanket in the grass, and because that is that design process, right? You want to sit down, outside, you want to think about it, get all those. I was going to say, let nature fuel your imagination.
Yeah.
So what an awesome episode.
All right. So hope people join us next time. Again, my name's Ron Nober.
And I'm Joe DiPaolo.
And we are the Teacher Nerds.
Teacher Nerds.
Thanks for joining us. And check us out on teachernerds.com. And that's nerds with a Z.
Woo!
Yo, that was good.